Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, and we're back at the complex, and we have really, really exciting news. We were able to get in to the unit where the tenant had charged back rent and not paid rent, and it's just been a crazy and frustrating situation. So the unit right next to me is actually another unit we just had vacant where we had some tenants move out, did some damage. We're working on that one. The other unit is down that way. And this is what the property looked like when I first bought it. And we're going to show you this unit when I first bought it before we look at it now, because I want to give the background on what exactly is happening here. So this is the complex. This is kind of a 5-unit old motel that was converted to housing many, many years ago. And it's got 2 houses on it as well. And this is what it looked like when I bought it. And this one actually had some tenants in it when I bought it. I believe we did cash for keys. And this is what this unit looked like when those tenants moved out. So we remodeled it. We'll show you what it looks like now. And we've had it rented to, I think, a couple of different people. But I believe the first tenants we rented this unit to actually ended up buying a house. So that was kind of cool, and that's why they left. Well, we rented to this tenant. They paid first month's rent and the deposit, which I believe was $1,000 a month. We do credit checks, background checks, all of that. And we had no problems until, I believe it was the middle of January or the start of January. We've been using a rental property software that accepts credit cards, debit cards, different forms of payments. Well, they used a credit card to pay December's rent, and they charged it back in January. So they have time to do a chargeback, and they waited quite a while. We were able to challenge that chargeback, show them the lease, show them, the person rented this place, and they still accepted the chargeback for some reason. So we're not sure exactly what was going on there. But we called the tenant, asked them what was going on. They said, well, I don't think they ever responded to us, actually. They never responded to calls. And so the next month they didn't pay rent, and we posted an eviction notice, the notice to quit or pay, which basically leads to an eviction, which gives them, I think it's 10 days to pay everything they owe, or else we can start the eviction. Well, we posted that. Nothing happened. I went over to the complex, a number of times. So we have these other units. We've got the coin-op laundry we check. And we also have cameras on the outside of the property. I never saw anybody going in this unit. And then we saw a light on for a couple of days in the bedroom. So it looked like nobody was going in there. It looked like it was vacant. And so we posted a notice that we're going to do an inspection the next day and see if there's anybody in there. We called them. And after we said we're doing an inspection, they called back and said, oh, yeah, okay, we're still living here. You can do the inspection. That's fine. But no, we haven't left. And we're like, are you paying rent? And like, oh, we paid rent. What are you talking about? There's no problem. I'm like, yes, there's lots of problems. We posted an eviction notice. And they said, we paid rent. We'll send proof. Never happened. And then I actually started texting them directly because this was getting so crazy. And they claimed they'd been calling my office nonstop, and my office wasn't responding to them. They claimed they'd sent in rent and paid it, and nobody would accept it. Then they claimed that other tenants in the complex had said the same thing was happening, that my office was stealing money from them and not counting rent. And I was like, well, that's weird because all the other tenants are caught up and haven't had any issues. And so she claimed she's going to give me proof of rent, and if I did that, she'd pay all the cash. She'd pay in cash to catch up and pay 2 months advance. Now, I wasn't really keen on this idea, but I still wanted to see her proof of paying rent because I was very curious about what would happen there. I had an idea of what would happen, but I was curious to see how it would play out. So waited for a while. Nothing happened. Text back and forth, and then she's like, oh, I'm going to the bank right now. I'll get you proof. Waited. She said, oh, I'm at the bank. I'm getting proof. Nothing came. I'm like, what's going on? And they're just like, oh, I guess we should just move out, huh? I'm like, yeah, that would probably be a good idea because we're going to post an eviction. We're going to try and get a judgment. That includes lawyers' fees, our attorneys who do the eviction, back rent, all of that. And it's going to go on your record. And so, like, okay, don't worry, we'll drop off keys. And this was like a week ago. And almost every day, they said they're going to drop off keys and didn't do it. They just kept saying, oh, this is where the laundry room is now, by the way. It was not pretty when we bought it. And it's like, oh, we just have to get a few things and we'll be out. And every day they said they drop them off, never brought them in. And claiming, oh, we called the office, nobody answered. I'm like, we have a Dropbox, it's very easy. And so I just gave up. I'm like, we're sending it to eviction. I don't want to spend the money for an eviction because it's expensive. We use our attorneys. I've tried doing it before myself and usually mess things up. So the attorneys do a much better job. And we were asked the attorneys to, can we get a judgment against them for back rent, attorney's fees. And he's like, yeah, we can do that too. I very rarely add that on. I rarely go after those unless there's like, malicious intent or a ton of damage, or a situation like this that is just so infuriating. So what we ended up doing is sending it to the attorney, and then yesterday, again, they text, oh, we're bringing the keys in, don't worry. I'm like, sure, whatever. And then I text Nikki, I'm like, hey, what do you want to bet they bring the keys in? She's like, no way, they're not bringing them in. And so this morning, we checked the box to see if the keys were there. There's a key in there. Oh my God. That's crazy. So they left the key. Now, we weren't sure if it was the right key or not, but we figured it was. So, sorry, you're looking at another unit that we had remodeled over here, and this gives you a preview of what this unit will look like. So we headed over there to see if the key worked, and I already told you we got in, so yes, the key worked. And this is what it looks like after they moved out. Now, again, I don't think they've been living here for weeks or maybe even months. I don't know why they didn't just leave and what the deal was, and it was just so weird. They had decent credit, they had income, the place isn't trashed as you can see, but they still left a ton of stuff, and I don't know if they ever came and got their stuff. It's just a weird situation. It's hard for me to understand what's going on. So now, there are some laws and rules about rentals and stuff being left in them in Colorado and how to handle them. I've bought a lot of foreclosures. I bought a lot of properties that were occupied. We've had properties that became unoccupied. We've dealt with this a lot. I used to sell foreclosures where we dealt with this. And the basic rule in Colorado is if there's less than $300 worth of stuff, garage sale value, so not like retail, but what you could sell stuff at a garage sale, you can dispose of it, get rid of it, and if there's more than that, you're supposed to actually do a personal property eviction unless the person signs off on it, says it's okay, I'm abandoning this stuff, I don't need it anymore. So they gave us the keys. They indicated they aren't living here anymore, but they haven't exactly said you can have all this stuff, we're not coming back to get anymore. So it's still a tricky situation. I was hoping it would be empty. Now, is there more than $300 worth of stuff here? I don't think so. That box in the bedroom, I think, was full of vaping stuff. I'm not sure what that's worth. I don't know. I don't think the orange juice in the fridge is worth that much, or the ice cream and Eggos. But, it's a very weird situation, and I want to protect myself as much as I can. So we'll still try and get something in writing saying, yes, we're abandoning all this stuff, we don't want it, or, hey, we need to come back and get it, but we'll still change the locks, secure the property, and if they want to come back and get their stuff, then they can come back and get their stuff. But the good news is we finally have possession. We didn't have to go through an eviction, which would have cost, $1,000 to $2,000 minimum, plus a bunch of time to wait for it to go through the courts. And so this is a much better situation, even though it's a very infuriating, frustrating situation of why this didn't happen like 2 months ago. And we could have saved a bunch of money and time doing that. People are weird. We move on. We deal with it. So at least it's not trashed. It's in much better shape than the other unit next door where we've been showing. And you can see the windows aren't broken and the counters aren't broken in this one. And a lot of people still are saying that was wear and tear in the other unit. It's just crazy. So here's the unit. We'll get it cleaned out as soon as we kind of have permission to do that. And that was weird. I actually had a fireplace in that table. And then we'll get it up for rent again. We'll have another update on the unit next door. And of course, we'll have an update on our commercial properties, residential flips, all that going on. We have a lot of stuff happening right now. So again, here's a unit, a few units down, and then there's the house. And it's been rented the whole time. Had some drama there, but they always pay rent. And the unit that I just showed you always paid rent too, but they did some damage inside, and that's why we did not renew their lease. All right, thanks for watching. We'll have more updates on the complex and on this situation. If anything else happens, it's just weird. And of course, love to hear what you think too. All right, be back soon.